On the first Tuesday each November, Australia stops to watch one event, a horse race that lasts approximately 3.5 minutes. This is the Melbourne Cup.
Bart Cummings has got his 10th Melbourne Cup. Saintly's going to win the Melbourne Cup for Darren Beaton and Bart Cummings. Saintly first. Drew 2 lengths in front now. He's drawing clear of Yippee-Yi-Yo and Brew down to the post. Brew first, 2 lengths to Yippee-Yi-Yo, a photo for third.
It's Maccabi Diva clear, and she's going to do what no mare has ever done. Maccabi Diva wins it again. It has been one of the great rides of the Melbourne Cup.
Since its inception in 1861, the Cup has fired the imagination of all Australians. And now, in the 21st century, it has become an international race, with horses travelling across the globe to try and win this holy grail of Australian racing. Irish handler Dermot Weld famously became the first European trainer to win the Cup when his vintage crop triumphed in 1993. Weld then went on to win the race 9 years later with Media Puzzle. Last year, it was the turn of the Japanese as Delta Blues led home a Kashushiki Sumi trained 1-2. But for all the International Cup success, there has still never been a British trained winner of the great race. This year, however, things could be set to change. Yes, that's why we've come to this place, Bedford House Stables, the home of the mighty Luca Cumani and the home of Britain's leading Melbourne Cup contender. It's Purple Moon.
Very well.
After failing to take to hurdles, the 4-year-old was transferred into the care of Team Cumani, who have coaxed the best out of him. Luca's daughter, Francesca, fell in love with Purple Moon the moment he arrived. So Francesca, Luca Cumani wins the 2007 Melbourne Cup, but he doesn't really, because you've trained him.
Well, I'd like to think so, but actually no, I just follow orders, do what I'm told, and yeah, he's the boss.
But since he arrived at the yard for Nicky Richards, where of course he was a jumper, or a failed jumper I suppose we should say, you've certainly taken to him and him to you.
Yeah, well I got back from Australia earlier this year, and the first horse I rode when I got back was him, and just took an instant liking to him. Mainly because he's such a nice person, he's a really nice character and just very friendly in the box, and then quite an easy horse to ride with a beautiful action, lovely stride, and does everything you want him to.
He does seem incredibly friendly, placid,
yeah.
Which presumably, as he's going to be on a long flight, etc., is going to be a plus.
Yeah, well you never know how they're going to react. They can do anything. The really quiet ones could lose it, but I think he should be all right.
So tell us about preparing a horse for the Melbourne Cup. What's the quarantine?
Well, they have to do 4 weeks of quarantine in all, 2 before they go and 2 when they get there. So at the moment they're in a pre-export quarantine, and you just need to keep them away from any other horses. Don't need to get within 100 metres of anything else. And it's just a precaution to check that they're not going to leave carrying anything into Australia.
And on a personal level, you've got to disinfect the shoes, all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, well, you have to disinfect your shoes when you come in, and don't wear clothes that you would have been wearing with other horses, and well, we're not allowed to be in contact with other horses. Just keep away from other animals, basically.
And is he okay with that? I mean, obviously horses are a sort of herd animal. They tend to like being with other horses. He's got a little pal here, Samurai Way. Yeah,
well, I don't think he would have been okay on his own, because, as you say, they don't like being alone. So yeah, he's had Samurai here, who's his buddy, and yeah, he leads him out onto the canter and everything, because he's a little bit quirky, you know. If he
in what way?
Just wandering around, walking onto the heath and going towards the canter. Sometimes he'll just decide to stop and doesn't want to go any further. Whereas if he's got his buddy, he can just follow on.
So Francesca, 4 months after running in a hurdle race at Musselburgh, he turns up in the Wolferton Handicap at Royal Ascot. 10 furlongs. What were your expectations before that race?
Well, it was a bit of a fact-finding mission, because we needed to know if he had a bit of speed after he'd been hurdling, and just really a good chance for him to start off again for us. I think obviously we thought mile and 2 would end up being a bit short for him, and it wasn't ideal that day because the ground was soft on the round course and then got firmer on the straight, and he didn't really enjoy the soft ground, and then you could see once he got into the straight and hit the firmer ground, he really picked up and came with a good run at the end. So I suppose that showed us that he had a bit of a turn of foot, but also that he can switch off in behind. And then it was the natural progression to go over 1.5 miles.
So we've got the natural signs also of of a Melbourne Cup horse, a horse with a bit of speed but also the stamina.
Yeah.
We always call him the wily Luca. In the back of his mind, was he already thinking sort of Ebors and things like that at that stage, or?
I think he probably was, yeah, because I think when the horse came to us, obviously he'd been hurdling, so he had the idea of being a bit of a stayer. And you think of the staying races, and immediately the Ebor and the Melbourne Cup probably would come to mind. So it was always a nice idea as a far-off plan, and then just he's been going the right way ever since and giving the right signs, and so then the Ebor was a natural progression after the listed race at Goodwood, and now the Melbourne Cup seems to be a good option. They always say for the Melbourne Cup you need a horse that likes a mile and a half, a horse with a bit of speed, because it does tend to turn into a bit of a sprint, which is not ideal for the out-and-out stayers, I don't think. So as a result, I think he's a perfect candidate.
So we know Luca's a handicap king, but he hasn't won a Melbourne Cup. Indeed, a British trainer hasn't won a Melbourne Cup. What would it mean to the great wily Italian?
I think it would mean a lot, especially the fact that an English horse hasn't won it yet. So I mean, it'd be a first. And it's another target. He's won the Japan Cup, the Hong Kong Cup, the Breeders' Cup, Singapore Cup, and so I think it's just another one that would be very good to tick off the list. And last year we went with those horses, and just it's a brilliant race to win because it's such a massive event, and just I think now that he's got this horse, which seems a perfect candidate, he's very excited about hopefully trying to win it.